Marcia, how are you?
Good. This thing in Ferguson's got me buffaloed. I can't figure out how a community that is two-thirds black has a police force and chief, all of which are, the chief's white, and 95% of the police department is white.
Well, so the same is true of the city council.
Are they not being allowed to vote or what?
It looks...
The city council's all white also.
That's right, and the school board.
I think there's one, and the school board.
Yeah.
Are they not getting allowed to vote? I hope Holder looks into this while he's there, because it doesn't make sense to me.
Here's what I think is going on, and I've read a number of news stories and some commentary pieces on this, and they all seem to support this conclusion, although I may be wrong. So but this is my belief. Normally, when you hold an election on the second Tuesday in November, when everybody's getting elected, right? Then there's lots of media coverage about the elections, and because we don't have local media anymore in the United States, there's not a local radio station or a local television station that is doing much local programming at all. Most of them are carrying nationally syndicated programming, nationally syndicated programs. So when the national elections are happening in November, every 2 years, there's lots and lots of focus on it. Everybody gets cranked up. Everybody realizes that an election is happening, and people show up at the polls. In Ferguson, the elections are in April. And so the national media is not covering it at all. Nobody's mentioning the fact that there's an election coming. In all probability, the local media doesn't mention it much. And only 6%, well, I've seen three different numbers. I've seen 6%, 12%, and 15%. And I'm guessing that it depends on which election you're looking at. But in the last April election that was held in Ferguson, only 6% of the African-American community that was eligible to vote showed up. And I think it's because, people are working, people are busy, people are, whatever. And the media wasn't covering the fact that there was an election. And so, the people, the white power structure, as it were, who had always, voted in April and they knew this is our, they showed up. But the people of color in the community, they just didn't know. They don't show up for the elections. And that's why I think it's, such a good thing that one of the responses to this has been there's a group setting up a voter registration table, get more people registered to vote. But more importantly, Ferguson should change their elections to be in November. So that's my solution. I don't know that
would make any difference.
I think it would make a huge difference, Marcia. If in the election in the last election where you had President Obama on the ticket, you had an African American on the ticket as president, communities of color turned out in record numbers all across the United States, and
that's true.
And they would, and frankly, if the Ferguson Town Council meetings and if the Board of Selectmen meetings and if the school board elections were all on that same ballot in November, Ferguson, I believe, right now would have majority black representation. But instead, because they hold their elections in April, they don't. I think that that's the problem, and I think it's whether it's part of some vast conspiracy by whites to control the power structure or not, I have no idea. I don't know the history of it, but that's how.